All right, good morning, everybody. I'm John O'Loughlin. I appreciate your patience as I went and finally got myself a cup of ginger tea to sip on. And thanks for being with me here. A happy Monday morning. A happy February the 7th of 2022. And thank goodness for all of the great ospreys out there that are just researching their little beaks off. Uh, Mark Kulak is just absolutely knocking it out of the park over at Housatonic Live. And he's opened up a crack that I really think we need to explore, and that is why is DTRA, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, involved in distributing swabs for nasal swabs, for instance, for this for the you know what the the uh, the little exercise we went through in nasal swabbing. And you can get your nose swabbed anytime you like. Just they'll do it for free. What a great service. But why DTRA gives out the swabs? There you go. Are they finding some way to gain information? Well, of course they are. Why would they care where the swabs came from? They just want the tissue sample, right? They just want the gooey stuff. They don't care where the swab came from unless there's something about their swabs that give them the information that they want, or that they even do something even more nefarious, and that is to actually, leave a little something behind or do something while it's in there that we don't know about on a microscopic level. Well, all of this stuff is very, very important. We can't just not look into it. And Mark is doing a fabulous job. And also David Underdown. And good morning, David. I don't want to embarrass you, but I want folks to just get to your Twitter. If you haven't joined Twitter, join Twitter just so you can see David's work. I'm going to go over there because I think it's so important that you see what you can do, what you can learn by just going over to follow this. And his leads are not only fascinating, they're also entertaining. And so let's go over there to Twitter. Okay, this thread on the DTRA, and I'm sure that David is using this to follow up on Mark's suggestion and my suggestion that hey, this is hot. Really develops. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get over to the page and open up the thread. So you see that here's a whole thread on what is the DTRA, and then DARPA. And DTRA is headquartered at Fort Belvoir, and Fort Belvoir has been at the hub of George Webb's fantastic reporting for the past 5 years. Um, then, of course, he ties in DARPA, and DARPA lines up, of course, with Zuckerberg and Zuckerberg, Facebook. So you can now see, okay, in the DARPA pile, we're going to put Facebook. Okay. See how helpful this is. Arm and Hammer. And now we get into the Vulcans. And I love this. I love this. You see that the legend is that, the Arm and Hammer symbol represents Vulcan, the Roman god of fire and metalworking. But I'll tell you what it means to me. It means to me the Fabian Society. It means to me that underneath of that hammer is the globe, is the world that you see in the stained glass window In my you'll see it in my Mindfields, or also in the work of that wonderful couple from Texas, and that's where I got it from. My goodness, I want to give them credit. I can't think of how to do it, but anyway, Truth Stream Media, Truth Stream Media out of Texas, a wonderful work. I'm one of my many, one of the things that I do on Patreon is support as many folks as I can. Look at this guy. Look at this kid. He is the grandson of Richard Armitage. You know who Richard Armitage is? He's that really bull-headed military guy that was running special ops in Laos when my dad was involved in the TDY mission. So there you go. You get Armitage on one side, McDuff on the other side. Okay, so now we've got Armitage with the Vulcans. And you see that's not a peace sign. That's a V for victory, just made in an elaborate secret way. Okay, next thread, Dick Armitage, Ed Lansdale. I'm sure that's a misspelling. Lansdale, our famous antagonist at the Pentagon in my dad's SACSA career. Ellsberg. Yeah, Ellsberg, of course. Bob Mueller, of course. Kissinger, McCain, Bush, and Ted Shackley. Okay, and we've read all of the wonderful work of Doug Valentine on the Phoenix program. Okay, the Phoenix program is on the side of the Vulcans. Now we get to the Bush Vulcans, and it's the same crowd with Richard Pearl. And this man named Dov S. Zakheim, who's, I believe, a citizen of both Israel and the United States, who really needs a deep dive. If anybody wants to take that on, hint, hint, David Underdown. And Wolfowitz, of course, and Scooter Libby. Other key campaign. Okay. You see what I'm saying? This is a thread that you're going to learn so much from if you don't know it. And if you do know it, you're going to find new connections that you didn't know before. Okay? It's fabulous. So I'm sorry if that embarrasses you, David, but I've got to tell you. Look at this. Look at this guy. Who's this? Vulcan's Tower, a New Deal program. That sure does remind me of that Fabian window at the London School of Economics. It sure does. 56-foot tall statue. My goodness. Okay, it created as Birmingham's entry for the Louisiana Purchase Exposition in St. Louis. Birmingham, I guess, in the Birmingham in Alabama, right? Okay. There is no ham like Birmingham, as I often say. Okay, I think you get my point. Oh, no, I can't stop because now we get to the life insurance companies. The insurance companies, Vulcan Materials. Now, Health South. Health South is an amazing story that I don't know the whole story, but I do know that it was one of those big things that collapsed and yeah. Okay. Protective Life was bought by Daiichi Life and removed from the stock exchanges. Founded in 1902, Daiichi was one of the oldest mutual insurance companies in Japan. And now we see for Douglas MacArthur's headquarters. We're in the life insurance building. I'm telling you, this just blows me away. And now he's going to go into Willoughby and Well, okay, Willoughby, our man, remember we talked about him. He's Weidenbach. He's the guy from I think he's from Bavaria or the state next door, Baden-Württemberg. Anyway, southern Germany, but he wants to be a Prussian, so he wears the monocle and he acts like a Prussian. And but he's this somehow become MacArthur's intelligence officer during World War II. And there's a lot of things that it looks like he screwed up, like say, for instance, not launching the planes in the Philippines when the word of the attack on Pearl Harbor got to him. You know, people think that was MacArthur asleep or something, but how about his staff? What happened, and why is his chief of intelligence not on top of that? I'm really confused if we have a a Nazi agent right under MacArthur's nose. Remember, MacArthur called him my little Nazi. No, my little fascist. That's what he called him. He said Willoughby's my little fascist. Well, don't you think that that tells you that MacArthur knew that this guy was a fascist and didn't trust him? And how do we know MacArthur didn't trust him? Because MacArthur would not let Willoughby be in the room when the naval code breakers told MacArthur what the Japanese were doing. Wow. So all the way back then, you know, this guy is clearly a fascist. How in the hell did he get as high as he did in the U.S. Army? Well, that's a story for another day. But here it all is. These are so many just great leads. Then we get into the gas and Fritz Haber. Uh, did you know that there was a SIEFF Research Institute, now Weitzman Institute, and Haber was offered the directorship of it? And let's see, somebody wants to know if David knows what kind of unit 731 was. Well, I imagine he does. But if you don't, there's a lot of ways to find out, including a lot of the reporting that the Ospreys have already done. So, yeah, we we already know that. Oh, another thing. Here, this just happened to pop up, but this is my Twitter. Somebody repeating it. My McDuff was the chief planner of special ops for SACSA when he died in 1971. Who filled his office? Well, a few years later, the Pentagon had an office called the Special Operations Division or Department or something, the SOD. And Ed Spanhouse, in an article in in EIR, which I just saw this morning, said that the SOD was the successor of SACSA. And so now I have a contact out through his wife, Nancy, who I have touch with through the Schiller Institute. And she's going to get Ed to get in touch with me. And I can't wait to find out, you know, if he still has any notes or from when he did that research, because I want to tie that together. But it does look to me that we're getting to a theory where my dad was gotten out of the way so that the Vulcans could take it over. Well, hello, everybody. Hey, Baker and Brightmore and Mobster, David, Christy. Oh, it's great to have David Paulson here. Thank you. And thanks, everyone, for being here. I just got a lot on my mind this morning, but my topic does relate to David's thread. And my topic is balance of terror. Now, how does that relate to David's thread? Well, it just happens to be a Star Trek episode called Balance of Terror. And in that episode, we learn that there's been a war between the Federation and the Romulans in the past. Okay? But there is a truce. And then we learn about the Vulcans, and the Vulcans are the people who suppress their emotions in favor of pure rationality. So just set the Klingons aside because this is not about them. This is not you, Klaus. This is a whole different deal. Okay? No, just keep it simple. Within this one show, Balance of Terror, there are three parties: the Foundation, the Spock, the survivor of the Vulcans, and the Romulans. So I was thinking, are the Vulcans in Star Trek related to the Vulcans of the Bush administration? Dick Cheney. And who are the Romulans? And what the first resonance that hit me was that the Vulcans are purely rational, and they set aside their emotions in favor of whatever the most rational thing is. And the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. But more importantly, what you're seeing there is a Masonic philosophy, a Freemason related to the philosophy of the British Empire, the philosophy of the British East India Company, the philosophy of Thomas Malthus and Francis Galton, and then in America, of course, Clyde Davenport and the Harrimans, and by extension, the Carnegies. Now, the photograph that Mark has featured often in his show, and I've also featured it, taken at the Carnegie Institution in New York, which has Fauci in it and Soros, um, uh, one of the Annenberg ladies, Tom Brokaw, Bill Gates Sr. I mean, it's an amazing photograph, but it seems to me that this is one faction, and it is the faction that has decided, to cull the herd, to make a wise decision that there's just too many people. It's nothing personal. It's a rational decision. It's Vulcan logic. So when the Federation, which is us, right? The Federation represents the American hero, the American dream. It's we are the USS Enterprise. USS means United Starship, right? No, it means US ship, Enterprise. The great aircraft carrier, the great, um, always been an enterprise. It's the essence of American values, the Federation, right? But in order to defeat the Romulans, the Federation had to make a deal with the Vulcans. Now, I know you Star Trek fanatics are going to be able to pick this apart, but for me, it all works. It's a triangle, and that's why we call it the balance of terror. Because sometimes the United States sides with the Vulcans, and sometimes the United States sides with the Romulans. Now, the Romulans are the Roman Empire. The Romulans are the ones that just take. They just want to go to war. Say, you got something I need, I'm going to take it because I am the superior race. I'm the Romulans. And that's the Nazis. Because the Nazis were built on the model, or the SS was built on the model of the Jesuits. They say it. They say, well, yeah. I mean, Himmler says the institution I admire the most in the world is the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits. And so he sets up this maniacal SS regime in which everybody swears, the death head uh, oath, and they'll do whatever they're told to do, no matter how horrible, because, right? Ave, hello, hail, all hail Caesar, Heil Hitler, same gesture. They're the Romulans. Okay, what else? As a part of this balance of terror, we are faced with a very mysterious thing called a pandemic. And we see that looks like there's secrets. There's a lot of secrets that we're not entitled to know. But who's behind it? Who's running it? Well, which side is Peter Strzok on? Which side is he on? Right? Because when he makes that icky, that horrible, satanic face with his eyes like this, that we got a plan B, and what that's saying they're going to let the reptilian souls come out. You know, they're going to completely suppress their instincts for peace, and they're going to go crazy, and they're going to go to war, and they're going to do whatever the hell it needs because they're sick and tired of all of this fruitless negotiation. They're going to go. And so, did they launch something that has turned into this horrific epidemic? I don't know for sure, but I think when you see somebody making an intensely serious um, stare like that, I feel that he is allowing, what he's saying is, I'm going to allow my reptile brain to take over. Even looks reptilian. And that's bad because that means that he's just going to let loose, unleash the dogs of war. David says DTRA Vulcan. I think you're right. Yeah. Now, where does the Knights of Malta come in? The Knights of Malta should be working for the Pope, right? Oh, I didn't flesh out, my little triangle a little bit better. So the United States represents the military power. Okay, we're the Federation, but we're also like the real power. We've got all the starships. Okay, the the Vulcans are connected to the City of London and the British banking system. Okay, and the Romulans are connected to the Vatican and the Swiss banking system, because the Vatican and the Swiss, it's the same banking system, basically. The, the, the obvious money laundering part is the Institute Opera Religione, and the hidden part is the Bank of International Settlements, and thousands of minor banks that work underneath of that. And I think you do get some truth from television. You really do, because they're trying to lay um, ideas in us. Have you ever heard the phrase neuro-linguistic programming? Neuro-linguistic programming. Wow, that's Star Trek. They're giving us a world in which we, the good guys, have the prime directive, and we don't mess around with other people's worlds. But out there in the world, out there in the universe, there's no mercy. There's nothing but power, sheer power. That's Dick Cheney saying, the only thing that exists is power. It's just a question of how much does it take to control the whole world. I was watching a a little bit of television last night with Drummer. We often just like to watch something mindless just to spend some time together. But this one is called 1883, and it has a trail ride, one of those cowboy movies, right? With I can never think of his name. The guy with the really deep voice and the great big old mustache, and he's in the Big Lebowski. Somebody tell me what that guy's name is. He's a great actor. Anyway, he's playing the lead in this cowboy thing, and what they're doing is they're giving you the Gnostic approach to life. I call it Gnostic Cowboys. I'm going to start a band. Yes, Sam Elliott, thank you so much. Um, Sam Elliott, fabulous, fabulous. In Gettysburg, that's where I think he really did a great job playing uh, the general that stops Lee's army at the crest there. Anyway, back to my train of thought. They go across a river and they leave behind their pianos and their work instruments and their everything because they have to travel very, very light to get to their destination. And now they start confronting bandits. And the the theme is pounded into you over and over again that it's a cold, cruel world out there, that nature does not care about you. Yeah, Sam Elliott. Nature doesn't care about you. Okay. And you know what? It's okay to murder people because you're out there in a place where there's no rules. And you know, if they're going to keep coming and stealing your cattle, and then they shoot one of your uh, the people that you're in charge of, and you can't get rid of them, well, you know what you do? You get your boys together and you make a posse and you go find the guys that did it, and you just fucking shoot them. You murder them. That's the rules. There ain't no rules. There's no rules. So that's the world that they want Americans to live in, that where there's just, if I don't stay on my side of the river, I need to stay within on the boat, stay on the happy boat, and don't even let me start looking off to the side to see what kind of disasters might be going on. Just stay on the boat, you know? As a matter of fact, you should just sit back and watch 1883 at night instead of thinking about bigger issues. But that's what they're selling. They're selling Gnostic. There's no God in that movie. And the lesson is it's a cold, cruel universe, and you better be tough. And you better be ready to kill if you have to. Kill or be killed. Which is, that's the Hobbesian state of nature. They're saying if you don't stay with us, with our deep state program, and stop looking at the stuff that we do because we do it because we have to do it because we're very, very wise and we know that we have to get rid of these inferior people. And there's just too many of them. Useless eaters. So I don't know. I think we're just beginning to sort this out. But you see that philosophy that often comes out of Hollywood and television productions. The only time you see God is in something silly, you know, like when the priest shows up in the Irish uh, shows. Bally Kiss Angel. Did you ever see that? I used to see that. It's a clever little show, but it's about, this Irish village where all of this silly little dramas happen and the characters are mostly comical. But, that's where you get some religion because the priest is going to do a marriage or you got to go talk to him about some ethical problem. But by and large, there's no acknowledgement of any type of a spirituality. It's all about you as as a human being have got inside of you all it takes to find out what the right thing to do is, and therefore do as thou wilt. Shoot the motherfucker. Ah, David, you got Cohen brothers down. I Fabulous, fabulous filmmakers. But look at look at Oh Brother, How Art Thou, for example. That movie is about a comical version of the Odyssey, right? It's all about the hero Odysseus, and he has to go through all of these trials and all of these things. And remember, there was the sirens and the three sirens in the water singing the beautiful song together. And but it's another example of basically secularizing life, making life life into the the Manichaean battleground, the Milton's Paradise Lost. We were in paradise, and then we screwed up, and now we're stuck in this place where everything is bad, everything is evil, everything is against us, everything is sinful. The world is sinful. Same thing as nature is bad, nature is evil. The message: you don't get to be happy. The episode last night was about, it was very, very well done, I thought, about a young woman, young girl who decides that she wants to make love to this young cowboy, and the ethical issue is discussed between the mother and daughter, and it comes down to do what you will. You have to know inside of yourself what you want to do. And then she goes out and she goes and does it. And the next day, the mother's mad as hell at her. Says, you have to be more careful. You can't just do what you want to do because you might ruin your whole life. Whatever you do, you're going to be stuck with forever. And so then she goes, the idea of freedom. What is freedom? What does it mean to be free? Well, you know you've achieved your age. You're now you can ride a horse. You can do whatever you want to do. And you're out there in nature where there's no rules, and you're just about the happiest person on earth. And so you find yourself falling in love with this cowboy, and you go for it. And then the mother says, well, guess what? The bad news is once you do one thing, there's one thing, if you do it, that's going to change your whole life, and that's the end of your freedom. From If you get pregnant, you're going to have to raise a child. And that's looked at by the mother as a bad thing. It's like she said, if you have a baby, you're going to have to raise that baby. I'm not raising it for you. No. If you have a baby, it's wonderful. There's no reason not to be happy if she has a baby, for goodness sakes. But, and to raise a baby, why wouldn't a mother want to do that? Doesn't she know that that was a possibility when she went with the cowboy? Well, I guess I'm trying to beat that thing to death, but 1883 to me is that they're leading you down the primrose path, with the cows and the beautiful young girl and the brave cowboys, and leading you into the Gnostic cowboy world. Don't be a Gnostic cowboy. The spirituality is everywhere. Nature is beautiful. Nature is good. Other people will help you get in touch with your spirituality. You can't do it by yourself. Even those guys that are monks and everything, well, they got their background by studying with other monks and living in a monk community. So yeah, some of them did go out and live in cells and produce some amazing thoughts, I'm sure, if any of them got saved. Just a few, probably. But by and large, I think you can't just decide, I'm going to decide within myself what's right. That's the big temptation of the triumph of the will, the Lenny Riefenstahl movie that's so famous. Triumph des Willens. That's what they're saying is all you have to do is decide that you want Poland and Russia to be your country and you can own them. And, guess what? Boom, here's a big army. Here's Adolf Hitler. He's willing to lead you. And so, yeah, you want to go kill all those Poles and all those Jews and all those Lithuanians and Central Europeans and kill as many Russians as you want to, because that's willpower. Triumph des Willens. Don't be worried about God. Just be a cowboy. Be a Gnostic cowboy. Well, I'm very happy to let you know that tonight Garland Nixon will be back with us, and I'm going to get his perspective on a lot of things. The truckers' convoy, what's going on with Russia, China, Ukraine, Colombia, Venezuela, what is on his agenda, and he's got a great Twitter feed as well. So make sure and follow him, as long as you're going to take my advice and join Twitter if you haven't, for goodness sakes, and follow David. And you can follow me there too at Late Driver is my handle on Twitter. Okay, thanks for being with me. Oh, wait a minute. One thing. This is just an announcement for the screamingospreys.com and McDuff Lives, my production. I really love Andy and Aaron's work when they were able to be with me and help me produce. And I would love to have some assistant production help. If anybody, if you're interested, I can teach you how to run StreamYard. I got pretty good at it myself by now. And we can talk about what you'd like to do to help. And if you are interested, especially in picking up good graphics and images and Wikipedia pages, for instance, as we talk through it, I think that Andy and Aaron set a very high mark to do that for me, and it's something that you can do. And other things that I'd love to have help with is just producing or putting together better playlists and organizing, the hundreds of videos that I have. I've archived a lot of, I've probably got over 1,000 videos. But when YouTube took down Kennedy's man to smash the CIA, the organization of all those 900 videos at the time was lost, because the only way we had them organized, and Mouse and me, was by playlist on YouTube. So now, although I still have the videos, they're not organized. And anybody that wants to help me with that, I'd be so grateful. There's a lot of things that can be done, just that would enhance the production and help me out. So if you have the idea of wanting to get involved with Screaming Ospreys and McDuff Lives, just let me know. The email is koproductionsusa@gmail.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. All right, thanks a lot. We'll see you tonight with Garland Nixon at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time.